Keep turning to the agenda. I need to go visually.
Straight.
Unless you can't vote clear.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the commission to order. Number 2 on the agenda is approval of March 28th minutes. And email those or review them as necessary. And a motion to approve them is made.
So moved.
Gannon,
Second.
second by Mr. Wilkinson. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Number 3 is consideration of preliminary subdivision plat for property located on Hollow Springs Road, which is in the George Fuller Investments Division.
Yes, and is anyone here to represent that plat?
Two copies, is that correct?
Yeah. One there and one there. Should be okay. The George Fulmer Investment Preliminary Subdivision Plat for the purpose of subdividing 18.18 acres into 11 proposed new lots located on Hollow Springs Road. The proposed new lots would range in size from 0.93 acres to 3.43 acres. And all the proposed new lots are vacant with the exception of Lot 1, which consists of an existing residential structure and 2 accessory structures. Proposed new lots are zoned A1 agriculture, or they're R1 residential. So, yeah. Oh, wait, they're A1. A1 agriculture, and would be served by an existing 8-inch water line, a proposed fire hydrant, which is going to be located between lots 5 and lot 4, and would comply with all other subdivision regulations and zoning resolution requirements. And again, this is for preliminary approval. Are you, Mr. Sexton?
I'm Josh. I'm Josh Fulmer.
Okay. Mr. Fulmer is here to answer any questions that you might have. Again, this is for preliminary approval, so no signatures are required on this one.
Or motion.
What's that?
Or motion. Do we need
No, motion is required for preliminary approval, but this is simply the review of the concept plan, and then, before final approval can be granted, all the signatures, all the soils have to be done, and the hydrant has to be either put in the ground or paid for.
Does this meet all the requirements? Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion to approve. Mr. Gannon, second by Mr. Wilson. Is that correct? Yes. Any further discussion?
How long did it take you to get all of this done here?
We're in process on it, so we've already applied for TDAC and signatures there. So hopefully in the next 30 to 60 days, somewhere there. But I think,
Meeting maybe.
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
and that's gonna be the biggest hurdle in my opinion, just getting the soil work done. Yeah, and I guess the speed of being able to put the hydrant in the ground, that's the biggest two things. And what is that, 8-inch water line, so it'll make plenty of water.
But if it brings a receipt of payment, that's still good.
Yes, it is, yeah.
All right, we have a motion, second. Any further discussion? None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Mr. Fulmer, just have Mr. Sexton get with me, or you can get with me, or David, and make sure that all has been done, and this has been paid for, so it's,
The preliminary.
yeah, it's preliminary.
Anything from you guys?
No,
Okay, I'll take it.
not required.
Thanks.
Okay, item number 4 is consideration of preliminary subdivision plat for property located on Hurricane Creek Road. Subdivision. Megan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this property and the Morris division, who's also on the agenda tonight, are aspects of a court case in which the county and Mr. Todd are currently in litigation. Of course, there were developments in that litigation on April 17th. And this commission really needs to have an executive session concerning those developments, including aspects of those two properties, the Morris Division and the Todd Division, are on the agenda. Of course, we did not have time to give adequate public notice of that, of any executive session tonight. So I would ask the commission to put an executive session on its next agenda and reserve discussion on this until after the executive session.
Are there any liens on this property?
Not currently.
What would merit in an executive session if there's no liens? This meets the criteria.
Yes, it does.
Is this preliminary or final?
This one is preliminary.
So we could do the preliminary, have an executive session, and then we'd still have another vote for recourse at a second date.
Good, yes, sir.
I think that is the entire purpose of having a preliminary
Yeah.
and a final. So let me ask this question to you. Does this meet our regulations currently?
The back half of the lots, I believe, are in the flood zone, but the building pad is out.
Well, I'm going to trust Mr. Fagan that we do need to have an executive session. But at the same time, I feel comfortable moving forward with preliminary, as long as you tell me we get another chance to vote.
You certainly do.
What's your feeling?
Yeah, that's what I feel too.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve.
Motion to approve the,
Second.
by Mr. Wilkerson, second by Mr. Gann, is that right? To approve a preliminary subdivision plat.
And if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Roberts hadn't had a chance to come up yet, but this was included in your agenda packet for review, so I'm assuming that you guys have all taken a look at it. And any questions regarding the layout? I certainly don't want to get into the legalities, but just with regards to the layout of the plat.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to second, and the next thing I would ask for is discussion. Mr. Roberts, you have any discussion about this?
None other than the back of the lots are in the flood zone. They have plenty of soil sites, and the front lots are not in the flood zone. Plenty of room to build even large homes. I expect these homes to be 4 to 5 bedrooms.
Mr. Fagan, would approval of this preliminary plat impact in any way, one way or the other, our action that would be on the final plat?
It could. I'd just like to be safe, and just need to lay it out and put it out there, but typically in executive session is best prior to any discussion or decisions made on a particular property that is subject to litigation.
Would it be appropriate to just say that we're giving preliminary approval contingent on learn in the executive session?
I can't say one way or the other on that. I always try to assume that anything can happen, and anything can be used for one side or the other. And so I like to be safe. Limit any discussion or decisions until after the commission is properly voted. And the commission has a chance to ask the question it needs to ask of its council.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, just one more quick thing, but preliminary approval does not be holding us to vote that same way for final approval. I'm not trying to sway either way but I'm just saying if you approve it preliminarily and you find out something after that, you do not have to approve the final.
That is correct.
Any further discussion?
I do have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Fagan. Would a decision tonight on the preliminary, is there any potential recourse that could have on the court case that we're not aware of at this time?
I believe it could. And any decisions that are made or any discussion that is had without advice of counsel can potentially impact pending litigation. And I just want to make sure that the commission knows it has that ability to ask questions of counsel concerning that pending litigation and the consideration of subjective properties, or properties that are an aspect of that.
Any further discussion? Yes, Mr. Roberts.
I would like to say that Mr. Todd's been waiting on this for close to a year because of the litigation. We would like to go ahead and get preliminary approval so that when the court case is settled out, we can go ahead and bring our final in for approval at that time.
I would like to also advise the commission that this application was made Tuesday, April 18th. So 1 week ago. No preliminary plat or any consideration of this property has ever been before the commission before.
Right, but I drew this thing up in April of last year. It just hasn't been submitted because you would not hear it.
Any further discussion? I'm gonna call the roll. Lloyd Barker, no. Richie Hunter,
No.
Randy Gannon,
Yes.
Lacy Buchanan,
No?
Carolyn Jennings,
No.
Patricia Long is absent, John Robinson.
Yes.
Motion fails. For the same reason, we're gonna skip item number 6, and go to item number 7, consideration of final.
We do need to address number 6. Number 5 has been withdrawn for consideration, but each one of those items must be.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Must be handled separately.
Okay. Item number 6 then is consideration of final subdivision plat for property located on Red Hill Road, which is the Morris Division.
Yes, and so this is Sarah Morris Division subdividing 7.82 acres into 3 proposed new lots located on Red Hill Road. Lot 1 would consist of 2.30 acres, an existing residential structure and 3 existing accessory structures. Lot 2 would consist of 1.23 acres and is currently vacant. Lot 3 is larger than 5 acres and not subject to the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Proposed new lots were zoned to A1 agriculture, would be served by an existing 4-inch water line and would comply with all requirements of the subdivision regulations in the zone.
Okay, this plat is a plat that was brought up in February of last year and was denied at that time. I think it was February. It was because of the pending litigation against Mr. Todd. it is owned by Sarah Morris, not Rob Todd. This property, we're asking that, we get 2 small lots off of it. One lot has a house already, the other lot is vacant with a soul site. Any questions?
How is this connected to Mr. Todd?
No,
Well, I will,
it belongs to Ms. Morris.
There's no connection between this property and Mr. Todd?
are you asking me?
Anyone who would know?
Mr. Fagan, go ahead.
Well, if, commission will remember, I believe there's a difference. There were a couple of members that maybe weren't on the commission then. But, in February of 2022, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this plat came before this commission. It had come before the commission the month before that as well. And I'm going to limit my answer to your question to what is in publicly filed documents with the court. So that nothing outside of that is already not, already publicly available. At that time, first meeting, Mr. Todd said that he had no interest in the property whatsoever upon questioning by Mr. Mitchell, who was a member of the commission at that time. Mr. Todd answered that he had no connection to the property. The day after, it was rolled for another month to the February meeting. And the day after that meeting, there was a deed of trust filed on the property, which was deeded in Ms. Morris's name. But the deed of trust mentioned Rob Todd by the bank that was financing the property, filed the deed of trust on it. The commission found out about that at that next meeting and denied the plat based upon it. There was then a scrivener's affidavit or an affidavit of error by a scrivener's error filed by by the bank, removing Mr. Todd's name from the deed of trust. And that prompted further motions in court.
Is it council's recommendation to have an executive session regarding this piece of property?
Yes,
And this is the final, right?
this is fine.
Well, in this situation, because it's the final, I will trust Mr. Fagan that we need an executive. So I would,
So we have, you have 3 options here.
okay.
So you can approve, motion to approve. You have a motion to table till after the executive session. However, you table till after the executive session, you do have to vote on it that night. You can't wait another meeting. Or you can vote for deny, or we can ask Mr. Roberts if Mr. Morris wants to withdraw the plat from consideration.
Well, I think it would be appropriate to table or ask Mr. Robinson, but at this point in time, my vote would be to table. I don't think we can vote at this point in time.
If we table it and something happens, we don't have a quorum at the next meeting,
Yeah,
or there
that's your danger.
a tornado or something blowing through here, then it would automatically.
Yeah, it's approved after a certain amount of time after properly submitted. So basically it keeps you from tabling and tabling and tabling and tabling. Yeah, I don't think circumstance plays into the clock.
It's a number of days.
Well, I don't think lawsuit is grounds to deny this, don't. So,
And I'm not asking the commission to deny this, just asking the commission to
my
give
motion
me a
is
chance to give an executive session.
Thank you. Motion to table. Do I hear a second?
Can I ask how many days we have, or just a general?
It's typically 30, but some are 45, so let me,
30 or
you
45
got the
is
summary?
a lot different than 90.
That would be quicker.
I should add that this, I believe, is also, this
Do we need to have an executive session on this?
It might, that's my suggestion.
And when are we having, do we have? a-
I would ask for an executive session on concerning this developments in this court case.
We should begin to table in 60 days, Canyon County.
Okay, so we can come to the May meeting, have our executive session, and then, so choosing, push it to June if we need to.
I wouldn't recommend that, but yes.
Would
I
that,
wouldn't recommend, after the executive session, pushing it to June. I would recommend taking action if
Okay, but
you're
we're,
able to.
yeah, okay, but that would be in the realm of possibility.
Yes, it would.
is the June within 60 days?
That's another great question. I mean, it all depends on how the calendar is. So if April 18th is the date of the submission, June 18th would be, so,
Won't be,
no, it wouldn't be.
but that's what,
Because our meeting is June the 20th, would be June 27th.
but still, if there was another tornado, we would have time to call a special call meeting for.
Good? Yes, sir.
Would we have to publish on that though?
Oh, yes.
So then if we're not gonna have a forum, if enough people are sick or a tornado blows through, we won't be able to call a special meeting because we'll have to publish.
You could. Yeah, planning commission only requirement, you only got to publish it once. That's only for rezonings, you got to publish it
When's the June meeting?
twice. 27th.
That would be 63 days.
If you waited, you could call a special session.
And that's only assuming we all get sick for the May meeting.
Absolutely. It's quorum or it's meeting cancellation. That
Okay, we have a motion to table. Do I hear a second?
Uh,
Is that a second?
That's, explain our options again. So I can.
Sure.
Don.
Absolutely. I said there were three. There's actually. So you can approve the plat as submitted. You can deny the plat based upon the recommendation of the county attorney. You can table the plat to wait until after the executive session, knowing that you have 60 days from April 18th. And then you can ask Mr. Roberts or Ms. Morris, actually, ask Ms. Morris to withdraw the plat from consideration. So we can have the executive session, which would then stop the clock. And it would restart once submitted. Of course, if she withdraws, she would not have to pay the fee again.
Right.
You know, that's based, she would be withdrawing based upon our request.
Well, there's no sense of dragging this on. I think I'll second the motion here. That we have
Table.
table it, but have an executive session.
I was gonna ask, can we add that to the motion?
Yeah.
To schedule the executive
Yeah.
Tommy, to correct, I think maybe you just said this wrong, I just want to make it clear. I'm not recommending.
No, I said the table based upon the recommendation for an executive session. Yeah. No.
Motion second. Any further discussion?
So we're gonna table this because this lady, it's Mr. Todd's girlfriend. And it's not a part of the lawsuit we have going with Mr. Todd, correct?
Wasn't part of the lawsuit.
It was, is it not?
It's, I need to explain that to.
Okay, is it now? Yes or no?
I cannot answer that in a yes or no in a public meeting.
All right.
Any other questions? I'm gonna call the roll. Parker, yes. Richie Hunter,
Yes.
Randy Gannon,
No,
Lacy Buchanan,
Yes.
Calvin Jennings,
Yeah.
John Wilkinson.
Yes.
Motion carries to table.
It's 5-1-0
5.
again.
Now we'll get to item number 7, which is consideration of final lot line adjustment plat for property located on Burt Burger Road, which is a Hollis Industrial Park.
Which one did we skip?
The Jones division was withdrew from consideration. They didn't have all the signatures.
Okay.
They were paid and everything. They just couldn't go.
I'm sorry, John, I didn't explain that.
Everybody have theirs? This is Clark Paulus lot line adjustment, adjusting the common boundary line of two existing parcels located on Burt Bergen Road. After the adjustment, lot one would consist of 1.49 acres, an existing residential structure, and two existing accessory structures. Lot two would consist of 2.41 acres, an existing, I got them flipped reversed. Okay. So lot one is 2.41 acres, an existing residential structure and an existing accessory structure. Lot two is 1.49 acres, an existing residential structure and an existing accessory structure. These proposed new lots are zoned A1 agriculture, served by an existing 6-inch water line, and complies with all subdivision regulations and zoning ordinances. If I'm not mistaken, are you Mr. Hollis?
Yes.
Okay, so basically the property used to be right here. That's correct?
This was bought at auction,
Yeah,
and she wanted to keep this part for her backyard, and I bought this part.
okay, yeah. So, does everybody understand?
So is your,
So is that your house?
so is the property getting bigger, or are we just moving the line?
This property's getting smaller.
Okay.
This original property line was
Yeah.
here and to here.
Lot two is
This was
getting,
bought at auction.
lot one's getting bigger, lot two's getting smaller.
And I'm taking this.
Okay, okay. So this was always two lots. We're not creating. new
Always
lots.
correct.
And we're just moving to the
original property.
The line here, moving the line.
Basically, just stay right there. So this lot had this, had a table. See what I'm saying? And so they just moved the line from here to there. Y'all understand it?
I do, yeah.
Straight through that.
Does appear,
Does appear Mr. Hollis does have all the signatures.
and this is before us, but it's less than 5.
Yeah, and we've eliminated administrative approval, so all,
But normally it's just past administrative approval.
a couple years ago, yes, before they did that, yes, sir.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Mr. Livingston. Second, Mr. Buchanan. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You got it now, boys.
Richie Hunter.
Put it on there, Ricky. I'm gonna get going.
You're done. No?
Sign the paper up there, top left, Richie. See what happens when you miss meetings.
Yeah, get elected secretary.
That was Boyd's.
I had to sign all these times. I'll get the writer's cramp.
Well, 475, yeah.
Hey, my friend.
Thank you, Harley.
Yes, sir.
I'm down.
Thank you, buddy.
Item number 8 is consideration of final subdivision plat for property located on Pleasant View Road and
Is this the one where they're putting the casino on?
All right, so this is the William Ferris Division submitting the final subdivision plat for the purpose of creating one proposed new lot for property larger than 5 acres located on Pleasant View Road and Talbot Road. The proposed new lot will consist of 2.81 acres in existing residential structure, 2 existing accessory structures. The proposed new lot, I believe, that's R1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yes, R1 residential. It is not served by public water and would comply with all requirements of the subdivision regulations and the zoning ordinance, and it is served by an existing well, correct? Yes, sir. Okay. First the what?
I was not served by public water. I was looking for the water department signature, but
Because they have,
Yeah, it's larger than an acre, so it
Yeah.
meets the requirements there.
I make a motion to accept.
Motion approved. Do you hear a second? Mr. Gannon? Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't get here.
Tip over.
That'd be terrible. Yeah, boy.
Since he's had to write off.
Yeah, it's been a while. Okay, buddy. Yes.
All right, we'll move on to item number 9, consideration of final subdivision plat for property located on Iconium Road, and that's the Hutchins Division.
It's fine.
It is, yes. This is the Todd Hutchins final subdivision plat subdividing 1.54 acres into 2 proposed new lots located on Iconium Road. Lot 1 is 0.77 acres in existing residential structure and existing accessory structure. Lot 2 is 0.76 acres and is currently vacant. Proposed new lots are zoned A1 agriculture, served by a 6-inch water line, complies with all requirements and subdivision regulations and zoning ordinance.
So this is slicing off a side lot, creating a new lot on the side lot.
Taking an existing parcel and not quite cutting it in half, but creating 2 lots from one.
And it meets all recommendations.
Yes, sir.
Is this one you would have administratively approved yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, to hear a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Buchanan. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, all right. I'm gonna go ahead while Richie's working and hearing for consideration of adopting the county road, major road plan.
Yeah, and so basically, I'll go and then I'll turn it over to David. So this was brought up, I believe, at the January meeting. I believe that was the first time we introduced it to you. This essentially is a requirement to be able, to actually do planning, have a planning commission, is the adoption of a major road plan. And so there's 3 different road distinctions on that map. Red will be, will designate major arterial. Blue will designate collector roads, and black will designate local county roads. Significance for us here is that the color of the road determines the front setback of the property. Red will be 50 feet off the front, blue will be 40 off the front, and black, being local roads, will be 30 feet off the front. In order to adopt, it is required that we have a public hearing, and then I believe a recommendation to the county commission, and the county commission
That would follow.
would follow. So, David, anything that I left out?
The only comments I've had is I've had 2 phone calls, both of which were concerned that this was about the bypass of Highway 70 through Woodbury. I assured them it was not. It was part of the general regional plan process. No problem.
And I will say, that we did have a subcommittee that worked on this major road plan for several months. And after several revisions, input from focus committee members and input from the planning commission, this is, yes, sir, Mr. John.
Didn't Wayne make one change to us? And what was, I forgot what road.
I want to say, he asked that one be removed
Yes,
from the left
I
road.
can't
I
remember.
can't,
Okay.
I
I'm
don't
looking at
remember
it,
which one it was.
the ones I wanted on there were there, so I don't.
So what I would recommend, Mr. Chairman, at this time, unless David, are you,
I'm
got
done.
anything else? Mr. Chairman, I recommend that you ask if there's any public comment regarding the adoption of the major road.
Okay.
Got all of my
That's what I'll do. Anybody have any comments on this major road plan? On this major road plan?
Being none, Mr. Chairman, I close the public hearing and move back into consideration.
Close the public hearing and consider sending this on to the
Okay.
commission. We hear a motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Hunter to send it on, recommendation to send it for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wilkinson. Any further discussion?
I just wish we knew the road that Wayne had recommended that we change.
I can get that answer for you if you want to.
That'd be great.
Give me just a second.
Is that change reflected on this map in our file?
Should be.
Oh, it is?
Change was made on the map. I just can't remember.
Oh, okay, if it's on this map, then
This
if
is the new
this,
map. This is not the one we recommended to Wayne.
okay, so if this includes that change, okay,
That map is the result of his recommendation.
okay, then never mind. Like,
Never
The
mind.
Old Brady
Thank
Road.
you.
It was
Old
very
Brady.
short, it was the real short one. I don't remember it.
We had changed.
just as long as it's reflected on this.
Right.
It's 64,
Yeah, right here. This-
that one right there.
This-
Right in
And I
the
think
field.
That's it. Brady Hill Road.
Right in the field.
I remember that.
You read that road right there. Yeah, you use that road quite a bit.
Old Brady Road.
Yes, sir.
That's the road.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And this to the county commission. Further discussion? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11 is another public hearing, consideration of subdivision regulations amendment regarding the transportation definitions and procedure for plat review approval. So,
Again, I have absolutely no respect to the public notice that the documentation is on file. Nobody came by and see it, nobody called about it. The changes in the definitions, so that the definitions of roads and minor roads and the collector roads is consistent with the major road plan we just approved. Just is now consistent with that major road plan. The other change is in September, the planning commission changed the subdivision regulations to read if a proposed subdivision does not contain more than 5 lots, a subdivider may omit the subdivision of the preliminary plat, submitting only a final plan if all of the following conditions are met. A, proposed subdivision does not contain more than 5 lots, sites, or divisions, or the proposed subdivision does not contain, the original language was more than 3 lots. The proposed change is proposed subdivision does not contain 3 or more lots. It changes the language from 4 to 3.
Yeah, so essentially what that means is if the plat has 3 lots or more, the planning commission can consider a recommendation to rezone the property from A1 to R1.
For its intended purpose.
Correct.
But we can just as easily not.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's not required. So this regulation is already in. We're simply changing the language of 3 or more, or more than 3 to 3 or more.
And I think Patricia's the one who brought it up,
Correct.
that she thought that was the intention and that we didn't.
Yes.
It was the intention.
So this just makes that correction.
Yep.
Okay.
What is that? Yeah.
We also need to have a public hearing, so is there a public comment period? Not, yes, Mr. Roberts.
Just one question, does that constitute spot zoning?
No, it'd be 3 lots or more. Spot zoning is typically reserved for 1 lot zone district. So no, absolutely not.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Now we'll close the public hearing and move to take action on this. Your motion to recommend this change?
These won't be recommendations.
Oh,
These will be
this-
finalized after we vote on them.
Okay. Motion to finalize these changes.
I move to finalize changes.
Motion by Ms. Jennings, second by Ms. McKenna. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Changes are listed.
Okay, item number 12, other business is necessary. Any other business from you?
Just a quick heads up, I will be taking my annual trip up to Gatlinburg next month, so I will not be here. I'll probably join Mr. Mitchell up there, so county legislative day. So if my availability allows it, I'll certainly call. Just let everybody know. But I will have the agenda review and all my recommendations written on paper for the agenda review.
And this will be the meeting after the executive session. Hey, you're making a good one.
Yeah. You never know.
Jonathan told me it was coming up, so I'll schedule it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the jump ship.
Leave me alone on that thing.
Okay, anything else? And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?